Have you ever wanted to quit your job? Maybe move out into the country or maybe the woods. Maybe just go homestead and enjoy the rest of your life in peace and quiet without any bosses to answer for and without any battles to fight. Well, you'd be in good company because that is exactly what some of the orcs in Lord of the Rings want. And there's a section in Lord of the Rings that gives us a lot of insight into different orc culture. And if you've seen Lord of the Rings, you know this guy. This guy is the one who says,
"This fellow ain't dead."
in the books, this guy's name is Gorbag. And he's the one that gives us a bit of brilliant information in the chapter called The Choices of Master Samwise, when he talks with another orc from Mordor called Shagrat. This guy. And you better believe we're not going to call him Shagrat, we're going to call him Shagrat because that just sounds cooler. And the things that both of these orcs communicate and talk with each other is really, really interesting because they are from different places. One is from Mordor and the other is from the Morgul Vale where the Witch King lives. It's his city. And it's really interesting and illuminating for finding out more about orc culture. Really what they want in life and what they think of Sauron. How they treat other orcs. And wildly, this chapter actually starts to make you feel bad and kind of understand their side of the argument a little bit. Even though they still are evil. And there's one section that kind of completely reverses it and you hate orcs again. But before I go on, make sure you like the video and subscribe. I am reading through Lord of the Rings for the first time and publishing my thoughts as I go. So if you want to vicariously live through me, who is reading this for the first time in my life, or maybe you just want to listen to all my unorganized thoughts on Lord of the Rings as I go, make sure you subscribe. You can also like the video too. I know everyone kind of says that in videos and it gets boring and annoying, but it really does help with the traction of the video. So just take a second to like the video, give it a little thumbs up. You can also become a member too for early access to videos and for members only content. And you can always donate to a specific video if you really like that video. So lots of options for you. But let's get back to the orcs and this discussion in this chapter because it's really one of the most fascinating in the entire book. Because one of the questions that comes up, are they really just misunderstood? In the Choices of Master Samwise chapter, Sam takes the ring from Frodo after a massive, massive session of grief, grieving over Frodo's dead body. What he thinks is Frodo's dead body. It's really tragic to read. And while he's walking away from Frodo's body, he hears two groups of orcs coming, one on either side of him. And then Sam does something insane. He puts the ring on. He actually puts the ring of power on his finger and then he disappears. But the ring also gives him another ability. The ability to understand orc language and orc speech. And this is the first thing that the orcs say. Hola. I'm not even kidding. These orcs are Spanish speakers. Who would have thought? And again, this is what the actual written text says. I'm guessing that this is really just black speech, but it's really funny that he put hola in here. It's H-O-L-A. But anyway, the text goes on. Hola, Gorbag. What are you doing up here? Had enough of war already? Orders, you lubber. And what are you doing, Shagrat? Tired of lurking up there? Thinking of coming down to fight? Orders to you. I'm in command of this pass. So speak civil. What's your report? Nothing. Aye, yo! A yell broke into the exchanges of the leaders. The orcs lower down had suddenly seen something. They began to run. So did the others. Aye, hola! Here's something. Lying right in the road. A spy, a spy! There was a hoot of snarling horns and a babble of baying voices. And so, in this section they discover the body of Frodo. But what's really interesting is you can already see as a reader what these orcs think of each other. They make a note that they are already sick of this war that they're fighting and they seem to kind of be rivals of one another. Shagrat is in charge of this pass and Gorbag is coming from the Morgul Vale. And he's coming on orders from the Witch King most likely. They take Frodo's body and they kind of begin their way into Cirith Ungol, like past it into Mordor, while the two leaders are having a conversation and Sam is listening the entire time. And this is what they say. We've struck a bit of luck at last. Got something that Lugbor's wants. Now Lugbor's is just the Dark Tower. It's like saying the White House or the Kremlin. Lugbor's wants it, eh? What is it, do you think? Elvish it looked to me, but undersized. What's the danger in a thing like that? Don't know until we've had a look. Oh, so they haven't told you what to expect. They don't tell us all they know, do they? Not by half. But they can make mistakes, even the top ones can. Shh, Gorbag. Shagrat's voice was lowered. so that even with his strangely sharpened hearing, Sam could only just catch what was said. They may, but they've got eyes and ears everywhere. Some among my lot, as like as not. But there's no doubt about it. They're troubled about something. The Nazgul down below are, by your account, and Lugbor's is too. Something nearly slipped. Nearly, you say, said Gorbag. All right, said Shagrat, but we'll talk of that later. Wait till we get to the underway. There's a place where we can talk a bit, while the lads go on. So they both seem insubordinate to some extent, and they seem to not really like their superiors or who they're working for. They just kind of want a quiet place where they can gossip a bit. And it's really fascinating when they actually get to that quiet place because the conversation is so interesting. The book says this. No, I don't know, said Gorbag's voice. The messages go through quicker than anything could fly, as a rule. But I don't inquire how it's done. Safest not to. Ugh, those Nazgul give me the creeps. And they skin the body off you as soon as you look at you, and leave you all cold in the dark on the other side. But he likes them. They're his favorites nowadays. So it's no use grumbling. I tell you, it's no game serving down in the city. You should try being up here with Shelob for company, said Shagrat. I'd like to try somewhere where there's none of them. But the war is on now. And when that's over, things may be easier. It's going well, they say? They would, grunted Gorbag. We'll see. But anyway, if it does go well, there should be a lot more room. What do you say? If we get a chance, you and me slip off and set up somewhere on our own with a few trusty lads? Somewhere where there's good loot nice and handy? And no big bosses? Ah, said Shagrat. Like old times. Yes, said Gorbag. But don't count on it. I'm not easy in my mind. As I said, the big bosses, his voice sank almost to a whisper. Even the biggest can make mistakes. Something nearly slipped, you say. I say something has slipped. And we've got to look out. Always the poor Orcs to put slips right. And small thanks. But don't forget, the enemies don't love us any more than they love him. And if they get topsides on him, we're done too. But see here. When were you ordered out? Orcs are just like us. They just want to quit their jobs and find a quiet place to live and enjoy life without their boss. Especially if you interpret the word loot to just mean food rather than looting like actual looting villages. And even this is a more interesting thing to consider, that they actually feel like they cannot do this because the rest of the world thinks they are enemies. But this shows the kind of the perversion of Sauron and what he's cast over them, as the position that they're in is just messed up. They wanted their own place and they just want to kind of stretch their legs. And now Sauron has made them all enemies of the free world. And the Orcs just want to quit. But they know that the rest of the world would slaughter them if they tried to settle, somewhere in their villages. And also they do know that they are just puppets under Sauron. So it's a lose-lose for them. No matter what happens, the Orcs lose. Which is so sad. And it actually makes you start to feel a bit bad for them. That is, until one of the next bits. One of the more interesting bits of conversation that happens after this is with our friend Uthak. So after this, the Orcs begin talking about Shelob. They start to say that it's terrifying because no one has really ever stuck a pin in Shelob. And funny enough, they are actually terrified of Sam, even though they haven't seen Sam, because they think he slipped through their grips. And they think he's like this elven lord, more dangerous than any other rebel who has ever walked in Middle-earth, because this rebel stuck a pin in Shelob. It's amazing writing on Tolkien's part, and it shows how incredible of a feat that Samwise was able to actually defeat Shelob. But then as they're talking about Shelob and how Shelob feeds, they start talking about their buddy that they left up there with Shelob. It's a tragic conversation, and it moves you from feeling sorry for them, where they just kind of want a place to settle, right back to kind of hating them. This is what they say. Garn, said Shagrat. She's got more than one poison. When she's hunting, she just gives them a dab in the neck, and they go as limp as a boned fish. And then she has her way with them. Do you remember old Uthak? We lost him for days. Then we found him in a corner. Hanging up he was, but he was wide awake and glaring. How we'd laughed. She'd forgotten him maybe, but we didn't touch him. No good interfering with her. How terrible is that? This guy wakes up in Shelob's lair in a web, and all of his quote-unquote buddies walk by him. And rather than help him, they all just laugh at him as they pass by. How evil is this moment? But this little bit of insight into orcs raise all sorts of questions for me. I think about, where did orcs even come from? Are they really evil at heart? Do they bear any children? How many languages do they speak? I still don't really know if orcs are created or if they just already exist. I don't know. But honestly, this is one of the most interesting chapters for just getting a bit more insight into orc culture. It's a great bit of writing too on Tolkien's part, because it makes it really clear that these are not just a bunch of mindless orc. They have culture and languages, and they have desires to leave the war and just find a quiet place to settle. And while this chapter didn't really give me that significantly more of an amount of sympathy for them, it at the very least tugged on my heartstrings just a little bit. And it made me think, "Aw, orcs are just like us." That is, until they didn't rescue their friend from the Lab of Shelob and they let him die. That was just downright awful. But if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. Also subscribe if you like more of this kind of content. And as always, remember to look toward Numenor that was, and beyond to Elvenhome that is, and to that which is beyond Elvenhome and will ever be. I'll see you in the next one.